Hi everyone, this is Heather Lawton from the Flourish.Academy. This is episode 484. Today we're talking about comparing ourselves to other photographers or our photos. Do you do this? Do you look at somebody else's photos and think, oh wow, those are beautiful, I could never do that, or why even bother? Or maybe you're inspired by those photos. But the reason I want to talk about this is because at the Flourish Academy, we have a free class coming up entitled The 6 Most Common Photography Mistakes to Avoid. And this is one of them. So I was working on the keynote today where I'm talking about how comparison, it seems such a cliche that comparison is the thief of joy, but it really is, because when you start to look at other people's photographs, you might begin to feel inadequate, like you're not good enough or you won't get there. And by the way, when I founded the Flourish Academy, I've been a professional portrait and wedding photographer for 16 years. And my goal with the Flourish Academy was to include everyone. We are inclusive to all types of photographers, whether you are starting out or you are a seasoned veteran, which means there is room for everyone, which also means that comparison doesn't make sense, because there might be someone who has been in the business for 10 years and there might be someone who just picked up the camera. And I have to ask you this, when you are comparing yourself to someone else, how do you know who to pick to compare yourself against? And why? Like, why that person? Is it because you think their photos are good, but can you be sure they really know what they're doing? Or is it because you want to photograph like them, or you are inspired by them, but somebody else might not like their photos, but you love their photos? Like, what I'm getting at is you just arbitrarily decide who you should compare yourself against, and that's neither right or wrong, good nor bad. It's just different choices. But who sets the gauge? Who sets the standards? You're just making it up. Oh, I should compare myself to that person. But why? Comparison, when you think about it at its core, doesn't even make sense. And if it's making you feel badly about yourself, then it really doesn't make sense. You should stop doing it. If you look at another photographer and you think to yourself, I could never do that, or why even bother? Then you need to stop at looking at websites like that, or at Instagram profiles, or wherever you are consuming your content. However, if you look at a photographer and you are inspired and you think, wait a minute, I might actually be able to do that, and it inspires you into action to go pick up your camera to photograph, that is a completely different story. You just have to be able to discern between the two. As you're scrolling, whatever social media app you're on, are you comparing yourself? So check your feelings. Am I feeling badly about it? Or are you feeling inspired? And I just posted this in the FA community, because comparison will make you feel completely stuck. But inspiration will propel you forward, because you'll feel like you can do it. I distinctly remember when I started my career, and it was 15 or 16 years ago, and I was looking at other photographers and trying to find my style. And there were all of these photographers I followed that I just felt I could never achieve what they were doing. Their work was so amazing. Like, I couldn't connect. I couldn't relate at all. And then I found a couple of photographers that literally inspired me to pick up my camera. I felt like I would look at their work and I would think, wait, maybe I could try that, or maybe I could do that. And it was a completely different feeling. So I want you to pay attention to the difference between comparison and inspiration. If you are comparing yourself, you're doing either one of two things. It's making you feel worse, or you're looking at someone else's work and you're thinking, at least I'm better than them. Either way, it's not a good thing to do, to compare yourself, whether you think you're better or you think you're worse. It's not healthy. But to be inspired means you feel like, I could do that too. So that's why when I was putting together my keynote for the upcoming class, which of course I'm going to post a link below and I think you should join. It's the 6 most common mistakes photographers make and how to avoid them. When I was putting that together, this was so big to me, because I see people holding themselves back because they don't feel like they are ready or that they're good enough. And the only reason they feel that way is because they are comparing themselves. Because if they didn't have anything else to look at, how would they know if they were good enough or ready? They would They would just do it. They would just do it because they love photography or they're passionate about it. And by the way, if you're comparing yourself to others, you're missing the point, because it is not about you. It's about the people you serve. It's about whether those are clients or just friends and family that you're photographing because you have the nice big fancy camera. It's about them. And it's about what you're providing them in terms of images and their legacy and their family. I mean, anything related to something that they could pass down to their grandchildren that you're providing them, even if it's out of focus or not the best, is still really important. But if you feel nervous before a photo shoot, again, whether that's family or paid, you are only thinking of yourself, and that's because you're comparing yourself. But if you are excited, it's because you are inspired and you feel like you want to do something to serve someone else. So I hope that you found this useful, maybe even a little bit inspirational, and that you'll join me in that free class. I'll post the link below, and I'll see you there.